Good morning, everyone. Oscar here with Team Mass Poker. Today, we're going to have a look at a little presentation made by one of the team here, Chile, and it's effectively, 5 biggest mistakes that players who have played the spin and goes who are relatively new to the format make. And what we'll do is we'll discuss them, we'll highlight them, and then we'll give a little bit of assistance in how to fix them. So let's take a look. So, first one is not playing enough hands. This is super, super, super common, right? So, a lot of the times when we see new players in the format or we work with them, they're playing around like a 70%, sometimes even lower VPIP. VPIP is, money voluntary put into the pot. So, for example, when we're heads up small blind, when we're small blind three way, when we're playing the button, all of the positions whereby we have a decision as to whether we want to make an action which continues us in the hand, for example, limping, raising, going all in, etc. That's classed as VPIP. So heads up, especially, what is quite common is that a lot of players just instantly fold out the bottom ranges. As highlighted here, the 9-5s off and all of these kind of things. But the thing is, this is every time you open fold, it costs you a fixed zero point 0.5 big blinds. Now, those zero point 0.5 big blinds, in terms of a monetary or a fiscal amount, changes based on the depth of the game. So zero point 0.5 big blinds at 10-20 is obviously 10. But zero point 0.5 big blinds at 30-60 is 30 chips. So over the course of a game, it can stack up. Another thing that's worth mentioning is that in order for us to play versus our opponents, we need to kind of understand tendencies. So if we're always open folding, we're never really realizing with our bottom range whether our opponents are isolating, whether they're over folding on C bets on the flop. So in theory, if you was looking at like a GTO model, then like you play like 90, 95%, 88%, different averages in all positions. And that's even versus opponents who are isolating. But we're not really that interested at that because that's more in the future. That's more like reg versus reg play. Overall, recreationals, so if you're playing at the lower stakes and you're playing a lot of recreational population, overall we know that they under isolate and they overfold versus c bet. So actually, playing a wider range, once you get used to it, can be really, really, really profitable because it's quite simple. 9-5 off, you limp. He checks back, he doesn't isolate. On the flop, you see bet, he folds, you take down the pot. So really, really, really good. If you're in, the kind of zone at the moment whereby you're relatively new to the game or you think you're overfolding, it's definitely worth doing a review. We can help with this in terms of our free charts on our website. You can take a look. We're quite aggressive versus recreational players. Not aggressive in terms of like triple barrel bluffs or anything, but quite aggressive in terms of the VPIP that we play. And for good reason. So yeah, this is super, super, super expensive mistake. Very, very, very common. So if you're new to the format, there's a high chance that you're inside of this kind of 70, 75, 80% VPIP, and you might not necessarily need to be. Um, the good thing is it's also relatively simple to adapt, right? So you limp 9-5 off, you get isolated. Okay, perfect. You'd maybe try it one more time with 8-5 off, he isolates you again. Then versus this opponent for the rest of the spin, you can fold out this bottom range, but you're doing it with a purpose, with a plan. Equally the same if they're not folding versus C bets, or if they start donking heads up as well, because the idea behind playing the wider range is that we get to limp C bet, so we need to be able to limp C bet. If our opponent's donking and we can't C bet, then it's another reason to fold. But definitely not fold in this blind. So yeah, mistake one, really, really like it. Mistake two, not playing enough C bets. Okay, yeah. So very, very, very similar here. In order to be able to C bet, you need to be actually in the hand, right? So if you've got a low VPIP, then you're going to have less C bets overall because you're having less opportunity to do so, especially small blind three way as well, whereby we're out of position, but we always C bet with initiative anyway. Um, so here, the example Jack 3-4, it goes for a check with Ace Queen, or we could go for a C bet. So when we C bet and our opponents are overfolding, it's just auto profit spot for us. So there is some nuances whereby we don't necessarily always want to C bet, such as, I don't know, if we had Ace Queen on Ace 9 deuce, for example, I wouldn't see that myself because the difference here is that we don't want folds, we want calls, and it's a relatively high fold equity structure, so I might smart check. But overall, especially with your air range, especially with your unconnected range, it's very, very, very good to see bet versus unknown opponents because they do overfold. And again, the minute they stop overfolding, or this is an opponent which is slightly aggressive, then you can rechange your strategy as well. But it's really, really important to have a good aggressive pressure with your C bets because it will print and it allows you to play a lot more hands and it allows you to play a lot more small pots and reduces the variance overall because you're just getting these uncontested 100% EV spots whereby you bet and they fold, you bet and they fold, you bet and they fold. It's much easier to go from c betting too much and bring it down to a level whereby you should be doing it based on board tendencies, sorry, board structures and stuff, than it is not c betting at all and then having to increase it massively. Mistake three, playing donk bets. Donk bet too often, check to the aggressor. Yeah, this is a good one. So, when we're playing versus recreational players, one of the main things we see that allows us to tag them as a recreational is when they donk. A donk is basically betting out of position. So, for example, we're playing heads up small blind, so we're in position. We limp, they check back. They're first to act technically on the flop, but actually what they should be doing is they should be checking to the aggressor, us, in majority of the scenarios, right? Whereby recreationals don't really know this, so what they end up doing is they see that they've got an option to bet check and they just take it and therefore they bet out of position. The problem with betting out of position is this is actually out of position's much more harder to play than in position. So when it comes to us, generally we don't have that many donks in our range. As you go up the stakes, you will have donks. You'll have theoretically approved donks. You'll have donks on range advantage structures and all of these kind of things. You'll have donks with value. If you think your opponent's going to have a lot of checkbacks on that certain structure, but also equally check calls. But for now, play position. Don't bet out of position without a specific reason, and keep it super, super simple for yourself. Mistake four, choosing the wrong bet sizing. This is awesome, right? So I love this one. I am a massive, massive, massive advocate for players not using hotkeys at the tables unless they really, really need to because they're playing super high table count. Because the problem is this, hotkeys make you lazy, right? Predefined bet sizes on sites, they make you lazy. What we want to do is we want to find the correct bet size versus our opponent, and we want to be quite fluid. So, does that mean always c betting one big blind in a limp pot? No, it doesn't, right? You have the option to bet 1.5 big blinds, two big blinds, you can even overbet. On rivers, do I always need to go 50% sizing? No, you don't. Because if your opponent will call 50%, maybe you call 75%. The simplest way to kind of play is try to understand your opponent's tendencies. If he's sticky, we bet bigger. If he's passive, maybe you bet smaller or you smart check, right? But the most important thing is that recreationals will make more mistakes post-flop than regulars do. We will get more value from worse hands from recreationals than we will versus regulars. So it's equally important for us to make sure that we charge the correct sizing. This can include overbet on turns, it can include jams on turns, it can include jams on rivers. There's so many different things you can do, but the worst thing you can do is stick to a small sizing. And don't necessarily be paranoid, right? Don't think, oh, well, if I bet three big blinds here, my opponent's going to fold, so I'm only going to bet 2.5. It just doesn't happen. The calculation there is the fold equity between 2.5 big blinds and three big blinds, which is actually very, very, very small. So more often than not, if your opponent would call 2.5 big blinds, they're calling three big blinds. Equally, sometimes you might bet seven big blinds, but your opponent may call a jam. So it's very, very stack size dependent. It's very opponent dependent. But the biggest advice I could give to you guys here is if you're using generic sizing all the time, experiment. Especially with value, not so much with bluffs because it does work similar. But if you've got value and you're playing currently, experiment. Try some 150% turn bets. Try some river jams. You'll be surprised at how much value we can leave on the table by, sizing suboptimally. And mistake number five is missing soft skills. Ignore soft skills, miss out on chips, develop soft skills. Soft skills is actually super, super, super important and very, very underrated because people don't often assume or understand what this necessarily means. Soft skills is basically everything outside of the tables that supports your grind. So it could be your mindset, for example. It could be your bankroll management. It could be whether or not you're inside of an EV pool. It could be your focus or your concentration at the tables. It could be, the difference between should I watch YouTube as well as playing? Should I listen to music? Should I play on my phone on the bus? There's loads of different things which influence how we play at the tables. Focus and concentration is super, super important. Bankroll, especially, you need to be able to play the stakes that you're playing without worrying about the outcome of those specific games or downswings. So, say, for example, it's not uncommon in spins to lose 15, 20 spins in a row. If you're playing the €1 games and that's €20, you probably don't want to be playing with a €30 bankroll because after the first 10 losses or so, you then start to feel the pressure, right? So it could be 100 plus, it could be 200 plus, it could be 300 plus, whatever buy-in level feels comfortable for you, which allows you to maintain your A game as well as, sure, sometimes it could be annoying, right? If you're not inside of an EV pool and we are losing, but you still need to allow yourself to be in the game and not feel super, super, super financial pressure because poker can be harder than enough. Same for mindset as well. Am I getting tilted? Am I playing tilted? Would I normally play like this? Tilt mindset, super, super, super important. It's not something that's easy to fix or instant to fix if you do suffer from these. It's more of a work in progress, long-term development. Um, and then focus and concentration. It's never really suboptimal to play poker and be, watching YouTube at the same time, for example. Maybe if you're one table in an MTT, but if you're playing spins, especially at the lower stakes, if you're not necessarily using a HUD, or if you're playing versus opponents who will play very, very, very different from one another, you need as much focus and concentration at the tables as you can to really, really maximize your opponent. You need to see when he's donking. You need to see things three-way, which allows you to bring that into heads up. Because that gives you, even if it's limited, it gives you data to allow you to exploit your opponent, to allow you to change your baseline strategy with a purpose. But yeah, hopefully this video helped, guys. There will be more similar in the future. In the meantime, like I say, if you are newer to the game, we do have free charts on our website. We have a free level 0, www.teambaspoker.com. We also have obviously this YouTube channel, which hopefully you're enjoying, but there is a lot of videos there to support you in your journey without you needing to spend any money. So there's resources around. So yeah, best of luck at the tables. Leave any questions in the comments, and yeah, hope you enjoyed. Many thanks.